Hey, welcome to another episode of Legion Elite Motorsports. I'm your host, Isaiah. And in today's episode, we are going to be doing a MSD and MSD two-step module. So, let's dive in and see what all that entails. Okay, so today we're going to be learning how to install MSD on your StarQuest. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we want to get the part number correct first. Okay. And I'll put it up over here on the screen. Part number for the MSD is 6425. Okay, let's get that out of the way. That's very important. And then next what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a diagram over here showing exactly how the MSD is to be connected up. Now, that's the MSD side. You need to know how to connect it to your Starion. So, what you're going to want to do is, I'd say the most important wires will definitely be from the distributor. Need to understand why these wires are here to begin with. Okay, so first wire, let's talk about this white one. This white one is the positive from the magnetic pickup. See, so this is one side, this is two side. Okay, so there's a positive and negative, and as this spins, you see the feet go past the poles and it creates a magnetic energy that it reads for 4 pickups. That's 4 positions of spark, long story short. So, with that being said, this white wire is positive and this yellow wire is ground. Okay, now I know what you're thinking, why wouldn't the black wire be ground? Well, actually, that black wire is a insulative ground to make sure you don't get any interference, magnetic ground, or radio frequency going towards this wire. So technically with the MSD, this black wire is not valid. Only wires you're going to need is the white one for positive and the yellow one for ground. Okay, that's a little confusing. Let's check the other end of this one. These wires are a little crispy. So we're gonna go into the loom here and kind of see what colors are doing what. So let me chop this open and let's see. Okay, so where it counts, you can see what's really going on. So there are only 2 wires in here, yellow and white. As I was saying before, the black wire is actually this protective wire around these 2 wires to make sure that it doesn't get electrical interference or anything like that. See that there? 2 wires, which is identical to what's over here. So, reiterate it one more time, which this is very important. Let's say you get these mixed up on your MSD. Your car is not going to go past 4,000 RPM. Okay, so that's very important not to mix these 2 wires up. Everything else is pretty much plug and play, but this is the most important part. So remember, white is power, yellow is ground. Okay, so that part is complete, and this is for the distributor. Now for the MSD, you're going to connect violet, which is the purple wire, to the positive, and you're going to connect the green wire to the yellow wire. That's positive for positive, negative for negative. I'm again going to show you the diagram right over here, so you know those 2 wires go to these 2 wires. And how you handle it as far as the cord is concerned, you can cut the plug off, you can keep the plug, but if you keep the plug, remember when you plug it in, it actually switches, so it makes it more confusing to keep the plug, so you're better off getting rid of the plug. Keep it simple and take it from there. So, so white, positive, yellow, ground. So next, your MSD is going to ask for ignition switch. Now on the negative side of your coil, there's going to be a whole host of wires, including your RPM signal, including all of that good stuff there. On your coil, you cannot keep anything on it when using MSD because it will burn every wire on it. So I'm going to tell you where to put those wires in a minute, but what you're going to do is take off the negative side of the coil all of the wires, zip tie them together, and move it aside. Then you're going to take all of the positive wires off the coil, and then you're going to zip tie those together and move it aside. Now you're going to notice, I'm going to show you right now, you're going to notice a wire. Let me see. Hold on a second. It's a little dirty up in here. Okay, here we go. So you're gonna notice a wire that's black with a white stripe. This wire here is the ignition switch. Okay, it's on the positive side of the coil when you take it off. Okay, you're gonna wanna keep this wire because this is gonna be your ignition switch. So all of the wires that are originally connected to it, you're gonna wanna keep those there. Uh-oh. Focus. There we go. So you're gonna wanna keep all of the original wires connected to the ignition switch wire. So when you take these off the positive, all of the wires that are connected in your new zip tie, you're gonna keep those there, and you're gonna add the MSD into it. So it's a small red wire that says ignition switch in the diagram. That's where it's gonna go. Next, there's two wires, and we're gonna keep the diagram up as long as possible, but there's two wires that go to the coil. Positive, negative. Positive goes to positive, negative goes to negative. That's it. These are the only things allowed to be on the coil. Anything else will burn. So you're gonna connect those, and let's see what's next. So with the MSD, it comes with these looped connections. Okay, these two and these two. So you cut one for a 6-cylinder, you cut two for a 4-cylinder. If you have an 8-cylinder, you leave them connected. That simple. So that's why these are cut. Okay. So next there's a white wire, right? This white wire you will not be using at all. So you can cut it, get rid of it, whatever you want to do, that's perfectly fine. And you'll be good to go from there. So, last wire, okay. Let me see if you can see it in here. Okay, this one right here. This gray wire is your TAC output wire from the MSD box. So, long story short, your distributor is going to send a signal to the MSD box. The MSD box is going to register RPM from the distributor. So, once it registers the RPM, the signal comes out of this gray wire. The gray wire, you're going to want to connect to all of those wires that were on the negative side of the coil originally that you zip tied together, right? So basically you want to make sure that all of those wires are connected to that. Now, your RPM signal is not going to work because this sends out a digital signal, and we use an analog signal. That's why it's connected to an analog coil. And basically what you want to do is get a TAC adapter. Now, there's a couple of TAC adapters that you can use to translate the signal, and then you follow those instructions accordingly. My car actually doesn't have a TAC adapter, so only way that I could tell my RPM currently is from my my computer. I have an aftermarket computer, and that one reads digital signals, so it gets an RPM signal from this also. So yeah, that's it. So once it's connected, right, so from there to there, distributor is going to fire. You're no longer going to need your knock box. Your knock box is going to be obsolete at this point. You won't need to have it, you won't need to connect it, you won't need to leave it there, and you won't need to connect your plug for your distributor to your original harness. You won't use it at all. You're eliminating the knock box with the MSD box instead, and basically what the change is you get a hotter spark, more reliable, and I've never had an issue with any of these, and this is my second one on installed on 2 different cars. The black one that I had was sold with the MSD box. This one is my silver car, and dirty as heck, but this one has had MSD in it for the longest time, and I've never had any issues, so that comes out perfect. Also, once the engine moves, this is going to send spark. So fuel cut, or not fuel cut, but ignition cut and things of that nature will be eliminated. It will not cut anything. Also, on your box, let me disconnect this one. Okay. You can set your rev limiter. Okay, this one's a little filthy, don't mind that. Okay, so this knob is 1,000 RPM increments. This knob is 100 increments. So let's say I wanted to do 6,500. I take this one, put it to 6, take this one, put it to 5. But the stock red line of a stock Starion, it doesn't matter, you know, what model or trim, all of them have the same stock red line. The stock red line of a Starion is 6,000 RPM. Okay, so leave it there. Unless you're heavily modified, then you adjust accordingly, but mine is stock, and I mean that internally, and that's what counts. Doesn't matter what you have on the outside, it matters what's on the inside. With that being said, make sure you set it to 6,000 RPM as the rev limiter. Now, if you want to hear what it sounds like to hit the rev limiter of the MSD box, all you have to do is set this lower. So let's say I want to hear it. That happens. So all I do is set it to 4,000 RPM. So turn on your car and floor the gas. And yeah, you can hear what it sounds like when the limiter hits. So once you finish playing with it, go ahead and set it to your designated RPM, which is 6,000. If you have head work, if you have block work, you could set it accordingly. And of course, depending on what you have done, I'm pretty sure your max will be 8,000 RPM, which nobody ever goes up there. So you probably adjust it to probably 7,000 or 7,500 and take it from there. So that pretty much covers everything on this harness except these 2 wires here, which is the positive and negative, which you connect directly to the positive terminal of the battery, and ground is everywhere. So you ground that off to a really good ground. And that pretty much covers everything here. Next, I want to cover the 2-step module. I'm gonna put a part number over here so you know which one to get that adapts to this. And then we'll go over that wiring diagram and take it from there. But this is the 2-step module. Don't mind these wires, these are temporary. So this is the 2-step module. Part number right there, 8732. So we actually don't have to put it up on the screen, it's right there. And then you can set your RPM accordingly, identical to the way you set it on the box. And we're gonna go over the installation instructions. So basically with the two-step on here, it's a soft touch two-step, which basically means you won't damage your motor by using it unless you had something wrong beforehand. So basically this is connected. I have a button set up in the car. I don't use a clutch switch to activate the two-step because if you do it that way, you'll end up putting a lot of boosted pressure, you know, sitting still, more or less. And that wears out your thrust bearings on your mains. So it's better to have it out of gear and go ahead and do your two-step thing. And then throw it in gear, pop the clutch, so on and so forth. But yeah, so that's what this is. This is a digital MSD two-step. It uses the same type of two-step that's already on the box, and they sound identical. So, you know, that's pretty much what you got going on here. Only difference is that when you push the button, you select your RPM, which mine is set at 4,000, and I get about, I want to say, 5 pounds of boost sitting still. And when you pop the clutch, you're out of there, you're gone, you're doing your thing. So let's go over the wiring diagram for this one. All right, so as far as the diagram for this, I'm gonna pop it up right now. We just have a couple of wires. It's fairly simple. All right, so we got ground for this guy. We need an ignition switch, which is another red wire, which you see it right there. And then we need the RPM output, which you see it spliced right here. So the gray wire is connected to the white wire from this guy. Excuse me, not white, but blue from this guy. And the last wire you need is to activate it. So all you need to do is connect that final wire to power, which I put it next to the switch. So I actually ran a wire from this box all the way into the car and connected it to a switch, and the switch gets power from the radio. I mean, you could do it many different ways, but I connected to the radio because that was the, you know, quickest and shortest link to power without, you know, running extra power wires everywhere. And boom, that's it. So as soon as I push the button, this light flashes right here, and I can go ahead and floor it, use the two-step, let go of the button, and now I have my regular RPM up until red line on that guy. So that is it. So now you can add in your MSD plus your two-step on your own. Next one I'm going to do, definitely in the future, is the tack adapter. So this will be part one, MSD two-step, then we'll do tack adapter separately, especially when I install one because I don't have one. So we'll definitely jump on that. And with that being said, we're going to call it an episode right there. I hope you guys enjoyed and found it interesting. And if you are not subscribed, definitely consider hitting that bell icon for updated notifications. And remember, guys, knowledge is power, and I will see you guys next episode.